We just heard the story of the Magi visiting baby Jesus. Now I have some additional information to add into the middle of the story. Of course, these are not biblical, but it's for the sake of the explanation. So there was a story about the three wise men, the three Magi, saying that three of them were in three different age groups. There was one young man, one was a middle-aged man, and the other was a man of a very advanced age. When the three wise men found the place where baby Jesus was born, they took turn to enter to meet Jesus. When the oldest wise man stepped inside, he saw not a baby, but an old man just like himself. And the two exchanged stories about life, about memories, and about gratitude. When the middle-aged wise man came in, he didn't see a baby either. He saw another middle-aged man just like himself, and the two of them exchanged stories about leadership and responsibilities. Then came the young wise man. When he came in, he found inside a young man just like himself, and they exchanged stories about promises and changes. After this, all three wise men met outside, and they surprised each other about who they saw, because each one of them met a different version of Jesus, and that Jesus talked with them things that interest them the most. So they took gold, frankincense, and myrrh and went inside one more time all together, and they found in the manger with a 12-day-old Jesus. This story may be a little bit different from the story we're usually familiar with in the Bible, but it helps us to learn an important lesson about Epiphany. As I said earlier, Epiphany is a Greek term meaning manifestation or appearance. And today, Jesus manifested himself to the Magi, to the outsiders. And in the story I just told you, each of the Magi found Jesus being manifested to them in a different way. And eventually, it was the same newborn baby Jesus. So the first thing I'd like to share with you today is that each one of us will find Jesus, will find God being manifested to us in a different way at different situations of our life. Let us be ready to come and to be open to those moments so that we are no longer outsiders or observers, but we can be wise witnesses who can encounter God every day of our life. God will come to us where we are. There was another story of a young man coming to a wise teacher in the forest and asked, "Teacher, please show me how I can see God in my life, because regardless of how hard I tried, how many people I have asked, I just couldn't feel that God was anywhere in my life." So the wise teacher asked the man, "Are you sure that you want to find God?" And the young man answered, "Yes, more than anything." So the wise teacher took the young man to the river, and suddenly he took the young man by the neck and dipped him under the deep water. The young man at first thought it was a special ritual, so he stayed calm and held his breath under the water. But after 30 seconds, he began to feel weird because the wise teacher didn't release him. And the young man began to struggle under the water, fighting against the firm grip of the wise teacher. And after more than 1 minute, the teacher eventually released him. And the wise teacher then said to the young man, "When you need God as if you need air to breathe, then you will be able to feel God in your life. When you need God just as air that you breathe, then you will be able to feel God in your life." Three wise men from far away, risking their lives, travel to look for the newborn king of the Jews. Now, they are not even Jews. Why do they bother? Why do they care? King of the Jews, not King of the Magi. They could have just stayed home and enjoyed themselves. But they traveled far to find the King of the Jews. They cared because finding the newborn King of the Jews would be the ultimate reward of their passion. Because the Magi in the gospel we heard could have been wise men, could have been priests, could have been just some nobilities with richness that they just want to spend on their journeys. But they were interested in exploring the truth. They took the mission with pride and with confidence. We heard that when they met Herod, they were so proud of their journey. They bragged about it to Herod. We're looking for the newborn King of the Jews. And they even brought with them precious gifts because they believed that they were doing the right thing. Do we baptize followers of Jesus? Do we believe that we are doing the right thing with our faith? Do we bring any precious gifts with us in our hearts when we come to meet Jesus in the Eucharist? Do we even need God in our lives as much as the food we eat, the clothes we wear, or the air we breathe? Do we really care about Jesus more than those things? So the second thing I'd like to share with you today is that we may not be able to feel the presence of God in our lives because we don't really put God first. We don't really put God among our priorities. If we still procrastinate to excuse ourselves from the practices of our faith, like going to Mass, like praying, like doing charity works, the faith we proclaim is not as strong, and we push God aside in our lives. That is when we cannot feel the presence of God. And finally, after the gospel reading today, we heard something special, a special proclamation of the dates of Easter and the other feasts in this liturgical year of 2025. This was a very old tradition in our church, back in the days when people didn't have printed calendars and they didn't even know how to read. Of course, today we do know how to read and we have all kinds of printing calendars. But the church keeps this tradition to remind us about the connection between Christmas, Epiphany, Easter, and the other days of the year. The joy of Christmas being manifested to us, not just for us to enjoy, not just for us to come and take good photos. The manifestation of Christmas is just the beginning of a journey. Jesus was manifested today to us to prepare himself for the mission so that we also can join him in the mission. The journey is laid out in front of us every single year so that we can prepare ourselves to connect the dots and to follow the church to reach our glorious finale with Jesus, the resurrection. So brothers and sisters, on this day of Epiphany, I have just shared with you 3 ideas so that we can reflect together. First, each one of us will find God being manifested to us in different ways, at different situations, different stages of our lives. Epiphany appears in our lives in different ways. Let us be ready to come and to be open to those moments, so that we are no longer outsiders. We are no longer just observers, but we become the wise witnesses who can encounter God in our lives. Second, we may not be able to feel the presence of God because we don't really put God first in our lives. If God is not one of our priorities, as actually God should have been the top priorities of our lives, then we cannot see God. If we still procrastinate ourselves to excuse ourselves from practicing our faith in a proper way, we will not be able to see God in a proper way either. And third, Christmas is just the beginning of a new journey, of a new mission. So let us prepare ourselves to journey with Jesus this year, to harvest for ourselves spiritual gifts that we are missing. Be wise witnesses who encounter God in every day of our lives. Put God as our priority of our life journey and prepare to walk with Jesus this year to harvest for us spiritual gifts that we are still missing. May God, who has begun a good work in us, also bring it to fruitful completion. Amen.